Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this session today. We are going to be working through a beautiful heart opening flow, and you will need your mat, and if you practice with a block normally, it might be handy to have one nearby. So we are going to start seated, so go ahead and get yourself in a comfortable seated position. Again, if you don't feel too comfortable seated, you could use that block to prop up your sit bones, or you could grab yourself a cushion. And we're going to close the eyes. We're just going to start by arriving at our practice and taking some beautiful deep breaths. Starting to really connect with our mind and our body. Grounding down through our sit bones. Sitting tall through our spines. And fully settling in to our bodies. I invite you to bring one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly. Start to deepen that breath. Feel that breath coming into the belly as we inhale. Traveling all the way up through the chest, filling the lungs. All the way up to the collarbone, where we take a brief pause and exhale it down. And continuing here with this breath for a few more moments. Noticing how deepening the breath feels for the body and the effect that it has on our minds. So as we sit here in stillness, I'd like to share with you the quote that inspired today's heart-led practice. It is true that the heart has different seasons. Just as a flower opens to sunlight and closes in the night. We must be respectful of those rhythms, but we mustn't stay closed down for too long. It is in our true nature to live with an open heart. And just really allowing yourself to open up your heart space through this practice. And allowing that quote to sink in for just a few more moments. That idea of living with a totally open heart. Couple more breaths. And the next time we exhale, we're just going to bring our hands down to our knees and bring our chin down towards our chest. Now we're going to slowly start to move the left ear to the left shoulder. And then semicircle round to bring the right ear to the right shoulder. And just doing that a few more times, taking it nice and slowly, nice and gentle. If it feels okay, we could start to come into some full circles, but only if that feels good on the neck. Couple more. And change direction of that circle. Staying nice and connected to those deep breaths. One more. And bring that chin down to the chest, interlace the fingers behind the head. And just allow the arms to fall in towards the face. A couple of breaths here. You stretch for the upper back, for the neck. And release the hands back down to the knees and bring the head up to center. Taking a nice deep breath. Now, as we inhale, we're going to start to shine our chest through and arch into the back. Look up. Exhale, chin to chest. Shift that weight back towards the sit bones, round through the back. Inhale to shine through, open up through that heart space. Exhale, round the back. Couple more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. And bringing it back to center. We're going to lift both arms. And then we're going to side stretch over to the left. And then we're going to sweep that arm forward as we come over to that opposite side. So nice, beautiful, fluid motion here. Sweeping to the front and changing sides. Reaching with those fingertips as we stretch over to that side. Couple more. Use your breath. Inhaling to reach. Exhaling to stretch over to the side. One more per side. And last one. Beautiful. Inhaling back to center. Now we're going to come over onto our hands and knees. We're going to make sure those wrists are stacked underneath the elbows and shoulders and the knees are stacked underneath the hips. And we're going to start to just take some nice circles through the body. Making sure those hands are nice and active when we come over the wrists, supporting the wrists. And again, just really not being too focused about what this looks like, but more how it feels through the body. So we're staying nice and mindful here. Staying nice and connected to the body. And changing direction if we haven't already. Couple more. Gently warming up, opening up through the hips. And last one. And bring it back up to center. Now we're going to raise that right arm up off the mat, look up towards the fingertips. And we're going to thread that arm through and under, coming in to thread the needle. Now, option to extend that left arm out in front of us. Second option is we're going to bind around the back and take hold of that right inner thigh if we can reach. If not, we can bind behind the back and leave the hand resting there. So it's just going to open up through the chest. Open up through that heart space. Couple more breaths. Stretching through the shoulder, trying to exhale to sink into the stretch. One more breath. Beautiful. Release that bind. Bring the left hand under the shoulder to push up and out, look up towards those fingertips. And change sides. Inhaling left. Exhale, thread it through and under. And again, option to extend that right hand, or we're binding around to just get that little bit more opening through the chest. And just intensifying the stretch, but only if that feels okay for our bodies. Couple more breaths. And if we've taken the bind, we're releasing, bringing that hand back underneath the shoulder as we push up and out to look towards those fingertips. Bringing the hands back down to the mat. We're going to tuck the toes and we're going to straighten up through the legs, pushing back up into our down dog. Now, as this is likely the first down dog of the day, we're going to just take a little bend through opposite knees. Just try and give those hamstrings a little bit of a chance to warm up. Find any movement that feels good. We could have a little sway of the hips from side to side. Let's really take advantage of a beautiful wiggle here. One more breath. And we're going to find some stillness. So those fingers are spread apart. Those feet are hip width apart. The tailbone is lifted towards the sky. And we're sinking through that space between our shoulders. One more breath. And now we're going to start to walk those hands back towards the feet. Take a nice generous bend in the knees. And we're going to wrap our arms around the backs of our legs. Giving ourselves a nice big cuddle here. Really nourishing pose. One more breath. As we inhale, we're going to lift those arms. And as we exhale, we're going to fold, bend those knees, come back to that pose, wrapping those arms around the legs. One more time. Inhale to lift. Exhale. Fold it down. Hold here for a couple of breaths. And inhale to lift. Exhale, bring those hands down through center. Gorgeous. Now we're going to step to the front of our mats and we're going to get ready to come through a couple of sun salutations. So our Surya Namaskara A's. So we're going to have our big toes together. Our heel mounds are slightly apart. Our shoulders are back and down. And that core is nice and engaged. Hands by our sides. Take a breath here. Get nice and stable through those feet. As we inhale, we're going to lift our arms. As we exhale, we're folding it forwards. Inhale, we're going to look forwards, bring the hands to the shins. As we exhale, we're stepping it back to our plank. Now, option, we stay here and come down to the mat from our plank. Second option, we can bring those knees down. We're using our full exhale to get down to the mat. As we inhale, we come up to our choice of back bend. Option for Sphinx, option for Cobra. Taking a couple of breaths. And as we exhale, we're going to tuck those toes and bring it back into our down dog. Holding here for a few breaths, using this as an opportunity to reconnect if we have lost the breath. One more breath. And as we inhale, we're going to look forwards, bend those knees, take a step or a hop to the top of the mat. Hands to shins, look forward. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Second round. Inhale to lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to look forwards. Exhale, we step it back to our plank. Remember, option to bring those knees down, or we're staying nice and strong as we exhale all the way down to the mat. Inhale to your choice of back bend, Cobra or Sphinx. Exhale to down dog. Beautiful. Holding here for a couple of breaths. Finding that alignment. Tailbone is reaching up towards the sky. Those hands are nice and active, so we're gripping with those fingertips and the palms. We're not just pushing all that weight into the wrists. Beautiful. One more breath. Looking forwards, we're going to bend the knees. Try and step forward on that opposite foot so that we're working both sides of the body. Look forwards. Exhale. Fold it down. Inhale all the way. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Now inhale to lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to look forwards. This time, as we exhale, we're going to step our right foot back. Bring that knee down to the mat. Inhale those arms up, crescent lunge. Sinking down through that back hip. Option to interlace the fingers behind the back. And pull those hands away as we start to shine through the chest, opening up through that heart space. One more breath. Beautiful. Release those hands, bring it back to center. Bring both hands down inside the foot as we heel toe the foot to the outer edge of the mat. Now we're coming into our lizard. Option to stay here on our hands. If we know we have the space, we could bring it down onto the forearms. But only if that feels good. If we get here and it doesn't feel good, then we simply lift back up to those hands. We're not competing here. We're really trying to stay nice and intuitive in the body. Figure out what feels good for us. One more breath. Beautiful. Inhale. If we've gone down onto the forearms, we're going to lift back up onto the hands. Heel toe that foot back to center. Frame the foot. Straighten that front leg as we come into that half split pose. So we want to think about here, trying not to round into the back. We want to try and keep that chest lifted. And that end goal is that we want to be able to bring that chest down to the leg, but that might not happen now, might not happen in this lifetime, and that's totally okay. Staying where feels good for us. We've got one more breath. Beautiful. Now we're going to bring that left foot down. Tuck those back toes, frame the foot, step it back to our down dog. Have a little wiggle here, couple of breaths. Beautiful. Inhale to look forwards, step it forwards, hands to shins, exhale to fold. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to look forwards. This time we're stepping that left foot back, bringing that knee down. Inhale up to our crescent lunge. This might feel enough. Option, we interlace those fingers and we start to pull those hands away to really shine that chest open. Beautiful. Couple of breaths. Sinking down. One more breath. And releasing those hands, bringing them inside that right foot. Heel toe out to the outer edge of the mat. Coming into our lizard. Again, option to stay up on the hands. Option, we can come down onto those forearms. Just checking in with what feels good for the hip. Every day is going to feel a little bit different. Maybe some days we can access this. Maybe some days we can't. That's totally okay. Just sticking with what feels good for us. We got one more breath. And lifting back up onto the hands, heel toeing the foot back to center, framing the foot as we straighten that front leg, shift the weight back, coming into that half split pose. Again, trying to resist that urge to round the back. Maybe our hands are a little bit more central so that we can lift ourselves up a little bit more. Maybe we can walk those hands forward and make this more of a fold. 2 more breaths. And as we inhale, placing that front foot down, frame the foot, tuck the back toes, step it back to your down dog. Again, option to have a little wiggle to release through the hip. Beautiful. One more breath. Inhale, bend those knees, look forwards, step to the top of the mat, hands to shins, and exhale to fold. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hands to heart center. Gorgeous. Now, we're going to bring our left foot up. So we're going to ground down through that right foot, making sure all 4 corners of the foot feel like they're rooted down to the earth. And we're going to inhale to bring that left knee up to the chest. Option to take hold of that left knee first for a little bit of support. Option, we could keep those hands down. Now we're going to take a nice big inhale. As we exhale, we're going to slowly start to step that foot back into our high lunge. Good, embracing any wobbles. Beautiful. So that back leg is nice and strong and straight. We're on the ball of the foot. And we're going to lift those arms up. Nice bend in that front knee. Now as we exhale, we're going to bring those elbows down, shine that chest through once more, opening up through that heart space. Beautiful. Take an inhale. Exhale, we're going to round, bring that chin to chest, interlace those fingers in front. Inhale, cactus arms, shine that chest through. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Inhale to lift the arms. Exhale, we're going to come into our warrior 2. So those back toes are facing the long edge of the mat. And we've got a nice generous bend in that front knee. Those hips are open to that long edge of the mat. And we're looking over that front middle finger, making sure that that back arm hasn't dropped whilst we're not watching. And we've got 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Now we're going to come into our side bend. So bring that right arm to rest gently on that thigh as we bring the left arm up and over. Option, if we want to take this a little bit further, we could bring that right hand down inside that right foot. Third option is we bring the right arm underneath as we wrap the left arm behind and we come into a bind. Again, that's going to give us that opportunity to open up through the chest. But if that feels too much, then we stick with either of the other 2 options. And we're listening to our bodies and what feels good for us. One more breath. Gorgeous. Now we're going to release the bind. We're going to frame that front foot, step the toes back, this time into our plank, as we exhale to come all the way down to the mat. And inhale up to that back bend. And exhale into our down dog. Beautiful. Hold here for a couple of breaths. Reconnect. One more breath. And inhaling to look forwards, stepping to the top of the mat. Look forwards, exhale to fold. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hands to heart center. Gorgeous. We're going to come over to that opposite side. So this time we're grounding down through the left foot. And we're lifting that right foot up. Again, option if we need to, just bring those hands around the knee for a little bit of extra stability. And then we're going to bring those hands down by our sides. And we're going to slowly, slowly start to bring that leg back as we step into that high lunge. Hopefully you're a little bit less wobbly than me today. There we go. I'm going to blame the bumpy ground. On the ball of the back foot, arms up. And a nice bend in that front knee, nice and strong and straight in that back leg. Beautiful. Now as we inhale, we're going to bend those elbows, shine the chest through. As we exhale, round, interlace those fingers in front, chin to chest. Inhale, open up through that heart space. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Bringing those arms back up into that high lunge. And now we're going to open up into that warrior two. So you want that nice bend in that front knee. We're trying not to bring the body to travel over the knee. We're keeping the body over the hips. And we're looking over that front middle finger. Beautiful. One more breath. Now we're coming into that side stretch. We're bringing that left arm down to gently rest as we bring the right arm over. This is our first option. Second option, we bring the left hand down. Third option, we take that bind and open up through the chest, but only if that feels good once we get there. Holding for a couple of breaths. And if we've taken the bind, we're releasing the bind, framing that front foot. Coming back to plank. Exhale all the way down. Inhale. Exhale to down dog. Beautiful. Holding here for a couple of breaths. And now we're going to bring those knees down. And we're going to come back into our child's pose. Now, one of my favorite variations is when we take hold of the heels. You could stretch those arms out in front if that feels better for you. But personally for me, this posture feels super nourishing. Really comforting little pose. Relaxing down for a good few breaths here. And starting just to notice how we've managed to shift that energy through our practice. And taking a couple more breaths. One more breath. And inhaling to come back up to center. And we're going to shift over onto our glutes. And we're going to come back all the way down onto our backs. So we want the feet hip width apart here. And we want to just be able to graze those heels with our fingertips. And I want you to imagine that we've got a block or a ball in between those knees, and we're really trying not to allow those knees to splay out. And as we inhale, we're going to start to peel the glutes away, peel the spine away, coming in to our bridge pose. So pushing down through all four corners of those feet. Exhaling to bring us all the way back down to the mat. And taking that a few more times, inhaling, pushing through all four corners of the feet, lifting those hips. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling to lift. And this time, when we're at the top of our bridge, we're going to interlace those fingers underneath us. See if you can almost shuffle the shoulders in towards one another. Push through those feet. Engage those glutes. Use those legs. Few more breaths. Shining that heart up towards the sky. One more breath. And exhale. Bringing the knees in towards the chest. Having a little rock from side to side. And then we're going to slowly lower those knees over to the left as we bring the arms out to shoulder height, coming into that crocodile twist. And just starting to really settle the body here. Starting to just check in with those legs, make sure we're not holding any tension, any gripping. Relaxing the shoulders down. Relaxing the face, the jaw, space behind the eyes, crown of the head. Few more breaths. As we inhale, we're going to bring those knees back to center, and we're going to slowly drop them over to that opposite side. So coming over to that right side, maybe allowing the head to drop to the left if that feels good. Even closing into the eyes, really trying to tune into our body here. Tune into that heart space, how we're feeling today. And taking a good few deep, beautiful breaths. And once again, releasing that tension in the shoulders, the face, through the legs. Couple more breaths. And inhaling to center. And now stretching those legs out, coming into your Shavasana, allowing those feet to fall out to the side, palms to face the ceiling or the sky. And just really allowing the forehead to relax, the space behind the eyes, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, allowing our upper arm, our lower arm, our hands and our fingers to relax. our chest, our belly, our hips, and our pelvis. Allowing our thighs, our knees, our calves, our feet, and our ankles to relax. Allowing your whole body to feel completely supported by the earth. Now slowly welcoming some awareness back into your body. Wiggling through your fingers and your toes. That's coming into a full body stretch. Pointing the toes as we reach up and over with those arms. Bringing the knees into our chest. Taking a little rock from side to side. Slowly rocking all the way up to center. And coming to seated. Thank you so much for joining me for this session today. I hope it's inspired you to go about your day with a beautiful open heart, welcoming in all the joy, positivity and happiness into your world. And I look forward to practicing with you really soon.